In today's video, we're going to dissect the dress code insanity that is sweeping the world. Welcome back to the Daily Connoisseur. My name is Jennifer, and I like to explore articles on dress and dressing because I believe that what we wear truly matters. In many of my videos, I explore the concept of the dress code, and I've been noticing something lately. Now, I follow the news pretty closely, and I have never, ever seen so much attention to dress codes than I have of late. So yes, I have explored the lady who got kicked out of the Golden Corral for wearing a crop top. Tommy Lee got kicked out of Emeril Lagasse's restaurant for his hat and behavior. The Houston principal who instituted a dress code for the parents, and now I have 3 more dress code articles. And you're not going to believe some of the things that we're about to read. So I want to know from you, before this video begins, what do you think is behind all of this dress code talk that we've been hearing lately? In today's video, I have 3 articles. 2 of them follow schools in both Canada and America that are being very lenient now toward what the children should wear. It's almost like the opposite of a dress code. It's more like you can wear whatever you want except for a bathing suit. And I also have an article from the UK about a primary school that instituted gender-neutral uniforms. So this is one that has uniforms. They want the girls and the boys to wear exactly the same thing, and girls are not allowed to wear skirts, and that caused an uproar. So let's go into all 3 articles now. I'm going to read a little bit of each one. I will also leave them linked down below so you could read them in their entirety for yourself. And let's talk about this. First article was sent to me by Amanda Octor, and it's from The Statesman. And it says the Austin ISD revamps the dress code to allow hoodies, halters, and hats. Hoodies, baseball caps, strapless tops, and halters are all fit to wear to school under a revamped dress code policy adopted by the Austin district. Late Monday night, the school board approved changes to the policy, which includes abiding by the basic principle that clothes must be worn in a way that the abdomen, genitals, buttocks, and breasts are fully covered with opaque fabric. But other items that previously were banned, such as hats, hooded sweatshirts, athletic wear, and tank tops, including spaghetti strap blouses and halter tops, will now be allowed. Beginning with the new school year in August, the new policy removes language that some said unfairly targeted female students and specific cultures. Trustee Yasmin Wagner described it as a positive change that affirms diversity and student agency in our schools. "I'm very proud to be able to support this policy change this evening," Wagner said. "I felt we very effectively removed gender and discriminatory and objectifying language from our policies. We've removed body shaming from our policies, and we finally realized that our female students are not distractions. The dress code still requires students to wear dresses, pants, jeans, skirts, shorts, or other equivalent bottoms, a shirt with a fabric that touches the waistband in the front, back, and sides, under the arms, and shoes, and students still can't come to school wearing swimsuits, clothing with visible undergarments, and items that obscure the face or ears, except as worn for religious observance. The district will maintain a ban on any clothing with violent language or images, references to alcohol or drugs, hate speech, profanity, or pornography. The new policy also states that students should not be affected by dress code enforcement arising from ethnicity, racial or gender identity or expression, sex assigned at birth, and cultural or religious identity. The district's new dress code also outlines requirements to avoid students being shamed for violating it. Teachers and administrators cannot tell students that they are distracting other students with their clothing choices. According to the new code, shaming constitutes requiring a student to kneel or bend over to check how garments fit, measuring skirt length or straps, or calling out students for a possible violation in the classroom or hallways in front of others. Okay, so this trustee is like the polar opposite of the Houston principal, right? Who cares so much about what people wear that she even was telling the parents what to wear. And funny enough, these are both in Texas. So this one's in Austin and the other one was in Houston. Okay, there's so much here. And this is a sensitive topic. I totally appreciate that. So let's talk about the distraction factor here, because a lot of people say that that's unfairly targeting females, that people would say to them, you can't wear that halter top because we see your bare back and it's distracting male students, right? Now, I fully agree that clothes can be a distraction. Hear me out, okay? I'm not talking specifically about only to women. So for example, if a boy came to school and his trousers were hanging really low and you could see his undergarments, which I saw at my high school, by the way, That's a distraction too, right? I don't think that that unfairly targets girls. I think boys and girls can be a distraction. And a distraction whereby if you're trying to do your schoolwork and you're seeing somebody's underwear in front of you all day long, that's not good, right? So I think at least they have it in there that they have to cover certain body parts with opaque fabric. And I thought it was quite funny when it said, let's see, it still requires students to wear pants, and they can't come to school wearing swimsuits. But I felt like it should have said yet. I feel like next year they're going to be able to come in swimsuits, right? So I don't know. I think that previously things like hoodies, baseball caps, strapless tops, and halters were banned because they are disrespectful forms of dress. For example, if you were going to court, you would not be able to wear those things. You know, so I feel like with our children, when they're going to school, they should dress respectfully as well. A lot of people say, just eliminate all this madness and let them wear a uniform. Well, with the next article, this school does have uniforms and there is still trouble. So let's read the next article. Okay, this one is from the Daily Mail and I will leave it linked down below. Police and teachers have been criticized for locking school gates to school children who protested a new gender-neutral uniform policy this morning, leaving pupils to wander the streets of a Sussex town. Angry pupils and parents protested outside the gates of Priory School in Lewes over the clothing policy for the new school year. But teachers and Sussex police officers locked the gates on pupils and refused admittance to girls in skirts. And according to one eyewitness, officers were actually involved in selecting which students could enter and which would be barred. He said it was like they were bouncers. They waved some through and they stopped others. Pierce Morgan, a Priory School alumnus, tweeted, "Let boys be boys and girls be girls," and local MP Maria Caulfield said it was political correctness gone mad. This school with uniforms is just trying to please everybody, but of course, you can never please everybody. And they're just trying to have the girls and boys wear exactly the same thing. Same trousers, same sweater, or jumper as they call it, same button-down shirt, same tie, exactly the same. And girls may not wear skirts. So I think that this is crazy ridiculous that girls who did want to wear skirts were not allowed in the school. But again, everybody is allowed to set their own dress code, and if you don't like it, I suppose you can leave. I don't know how the school system works there, if those people have to go to that school, or is it a school that you pay to go to? I don't know, a private school or public school, I guess they call it over there. I'm not sure. I think that if I were a student there, I would be very unhappy wearing that every day, because I am a very feminine dresser and I do like to wear skirts. I would actually enjoy wearing a skirt to school every day. Now, I know that there are girls who don't. So I think most schools have an option that the girls can either wear skirts or trousers. And, you know, that's fine. For example, my daughters, they're in AHG and they can wear skirt or trousers with their uniform. And there's no problem there. So I think that it was taking it way too far to not allow the girls to wear skirts into the school. What do you think about this? We're trying to please everybody so much that it's getting ridiculous, right? So this just goes to show that even if you do have a uniform, there are still problems. People are still not happy. Let's look at the final article, and this is from the Globe and Mail, and this takes place in Canada. So we've got 3 different countries here with these dress code issues. Is modesty no longer the best policy? On dress codes, Canadian schools begin to change their approach. This year, school boards in Toronto and British Columbia have written their rules for what students are expected to wear, putting the emphasis on student choice instead. But some parents and teachers are wary of what that will bring to the classroom. Anxious mothers of anxious daughters, that's who Willow Reichelt, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, heard from whenever the topic was dress coding, teachers reprimanding students for their clothing choices in the classroom. Miss Reichelt, a Chilliwack, BC school trustee, described the day a teacher asked a grade 5 girl if she'd worn her t-shirt to attract boys before calling her parents to pick her up from school. Okay, just as a side note, I don't approve of that at all. I think that is very inappropriate. Okay, so I'm with her on that. That's not good. Another student in her teens was chastised for wearing a boat-neck sweater that exposed a bra strap. Mothers complained about teenage daughters shopping in frustration for shorts that met school requirements longer than the fingertips on a lowered arm. Miss Reichelt board vice chair at Chilliwack School District, has 2 teenage sons whose clothing never came under scrutiny. Determined to end what she saw as an unjust policy, Ms. Reichelt put forth a motion this spring to overhaul the district's dress codes, arguing that the old rules discriminated on the basis of gender. The uproar was immediate. One trustee at a board meeting warned that an immodest dress code would spell a free-for-all for students who dress in provocative ways looking for the wrong kind of attention, also putting children at risk of pimps and sexual predators hanging around middle school grounds. Another trustee explained that if he were a teacher, I would not want to see some girl partially dressed sitting in front of me. School dress codes have long been a battleground. Young people want to express themselves, sometimes with skin, while protective adults in their lives prefer more subdued clothing choices. A cursory scan of dress codes across Canadian schools find them peppered with words such as modesty, appropriate, respectful, common sense, and good taste. But in the age-old sartorial struggle between teens and adults, the balance may now be tilting toward the children. Across the country, several school boards, including the Toronto District School Board, Canada's largest, are doing away with the concept of modesty in their policies, replacing it with a new priority: student voice. Here we have another dress code situation where they do not like the term modesty. They want the students to have the voice. So what do I think about this? And what do you think about all of this? By the way, I would love to hear your comments down below. I'm sure that many of you have strong opinions on this. I am certainly not for shaming students at all for what they're wearing. However, I am personally a modest dresser, and I think that modesty is important, even though it is an old-fashioned term. Some people, associate it with religion. And so I think that that's why it's probably being kicked out of the school system. But there is something to modesty, and it's not just girls who can dress modestly as well. Like I said, boys can too, right? And I think the point is, like I said back with the distraction thing before, that boys and girls can be a distraction. If I came to school in a giant clown suit, right, I would be a distraction, wouldn't I? You can say that I wouldn't be, right? And that's why that would probably be banned unless it was like a costume day. So I think that saying terms like in good taste and modesty and, covering certain body parts, I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I do think that it goes into slippery territory when we let the children dictate and decide what they should be wearing. It will be very interesting after these very loose dress codes are put into place to see what happens in a few years. How is this working? Are parents happy with this? Does it matter at all? I certainly believe that what we wear matters, and of course it does matter. I think in these instances what you're seeing is that the boundaries are just being pushed further and further. They still have their boundaries. For example, that one article said you can't come to school in a bikini. You have to have a shirt on, boys, right? So they do put boundaries somewhere, admitting at some point that what we wear does matter. But they're just pushing the boundary of what that is. All the way to, the Houston principal, who I think banned most of those things and said that they were inappropriate. Now, people complain that these dress codes are sexist and racist, but the Houston principal, for example, is a very distinguished African-American woman. So how can you say that she is sexist and racist? I don't understand that part. I think it's just about dressing for respect. Dressing to work, not dressing to go to the club or to go partying or, you know what I mean? It's about just cover yourself appropriately, and let's be there to learn. Those are my thoughts. I know it's not that popular of an opinion, but that's what I believe. I think that, we certainly shouldn't single out girls, and we certainly shouldn't single out boys. We all need to speak respectfully to each other, and I am not at all for shaming students in front of other students. I agree with that part of the policy. But we can't start letting children wear what they want to wear, because eventually they will be wearing bathing suits to school, and I think that that is inappropriate. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this dress code insanity that is sweeping the world right now. What do you think? Let us know in the comment section below. As always, thank you so much for joining me today on The Daily Connoisseur, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!